My name is Robert Marshall, Enterprise Client Management MVP, and welcome to a brief overview of LocationAware, a free community tool that extends the capabilities of Configuration Manager 2012 R2. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you how easy it is to install, configure, and deploy this tool. Let's start with downloading. First, just visit the TechNet gallery where the product resides. You can go in and just search for LocationAware Config Manager, and it'll take you here. The web address isn't a handy one to remember, but you'll find this linked across my blog and on the smsmarshall.com website, so you'll be able to find this location. Let's download the MSI, accept the terms and conditions. There it is. We're now open that. Should see it in here. We do need to unblock it. Maybe at a future release I'll figure this out, but for now we just unblock the executable, the installation. It's an MSI, so we just double click. Here it is. Select the default path. That's because I've hard coded something in the Config Manager console extensions. I'll iron that out later date, but for now just throw that there. Get ready. UX prompt is created because we're actually going to change, we're going to include an XML file in the Config Manager console folder structure and the XML storage, nestled into the XML storage folder, just so that we can get our icon showing, the LocationAware wizard icon showing in the console. Select yes, that goes through, it's done. The next step is we need to run a VB script. Just pop up a command prompt. You should note that it's been run as administrator. If we navigate through to program files, SMS Marshall, LocationAware, all we need to do is type in mod, m, anything, and tab. You get the modify XML file come up, VBS script, execute that. And the next step is to launch the Configuration Manager console. Once the console is loaded, select Administration, click on Hierarchy Configuration. If you right click off there, you'll see the LocationAware wizard is launchable from the right click context, as well as being visible on the ribbon. Let's launch the wizard. Before we get going, we just need to create a package source location. Launch my package source location. You see I've already pre-created one. There's nothing needed in here. The wizard is actually going to put a executable, the LocationAware agent, as well as an XML file into this, at which point you distribute it to your DPs and deploy the package program behind that uses this package source. Now that's been created, let's just get that breadcrumb onto the clipboard. Go back to the LocationAware wizard, select next. We get to choose whether or not we're updating an existing package, which we're going to in a moment. We can create a package, or we can create collections. These are the two things that we want to do when we're setting up shop for the first time. We start with create package, select next. There's some details here. I'm not going to let you read them. I'm going to click through really fast. You can read them in your own time. This is the unique package name. Let's call this one LA test. You can see that it's always prefixed. This is forced upon you, I'm afraid, just to distinguish the package from others. If we throw the contents of the clipboard in there, we could have used the browse button to navigate through to that location. Select next. What is being asked of you now is the location of the LocationAware agent. Now that would have been in the installation folder that the MSI created, which would be by default is C program files, SMS Marshall, LocationAware. What it's going to do is it's going to copy the agent out of here and place it in the package source folder for the LocationAware package that you're going to distribute. Select next. These are the programs that are created by default. These are ones that you get as optionals. Basically, the programs here are going to specify command line parameters that change the behavior of the agent, and as you start implementing LocationAware, you see there's quite a lot of arguments that you can pass the agent to customize that behavior, and you can create your own custom programs. But for now, there's a little bit of the functionality exposed by those 4 programs that are shown to you at the bottom here. The timeout is how long the agent will wait before it considers a management point to be down. These things respond rather rapidly. If you've got a cluster of devices, hammer in a management point, and that management point is reaching the ceiling, its operational ceiling, you may get timeouts, and they Retrying or waiting for a couple of seconds might stop those devices from considering the management point to be unavailable, just simply because it's unavailable for a second or so due to the heavy load it's under. Select next. These are the DPs or DP groups that you can deploy the package to. We're just going to select the first one, a DP. We get in a summary here. Let's move on. It's now creating the package, programs, and assigning it to the DP for us. That's all been done. We could click finish here, but we're going to go previous all the way back through the wizard, back to welcome, select next. That's resetting everything for us. We're going to create collections now. Select next. There's nothing really you need for the collection creation other than the limiting collection that they're going to pivot off of. I'll show you what that means next. These are the built-in collections that you will use. We'll go over those when we get the Configuration Manager console up. These are ones that you have optional for creation now. You can see that they're aligned to the programs from the package that you created earlier. This is the limiting collection of your choice, which you can see below. It defaults to all desktop and server and client, so if you have that collection named that way, then it will be found and the list will automatically default to that. But as you can see here, I have all the collections available to me on the site server to limit to. We prefer not to limit to all systems for obvious reasons. Select next, next. They're being created right now. Once that's completed, we'll switch out of the progress to the completion screen, and you can see that the collections have all been successfully created. If we go previous now, we can do everything in one go. Here we can go all the way back to the welcome. We can then select next, update package. But before we move on, we need to do something fundamental in the Config Manager console. So let's return back there. Under Administration, Hierarchy Configuration, you have your boundaries already configured for your site. You have boundary groups. You must have these boundary groups, otherwise you're not deploying content. If we select test number 1 boundary group and select show properties, you will see that we have a single boundary assigned to here, and I have a client on that boundary now that we're going to use for the testing. And under references, we can see that there are quite a lot of interesting references here to management points. Now, anyone in the know will know that this is not wired up properly from site to client, in respect that what you define here, if they're not DPs or state migration points, the client will not be told about them. That's what LocationAware is actually taking to the client, is that MP and SUP affinity. So you have also the connection column here. The fast and slow, the differential is that fast is an available MP, and MP you want the clients within those boundaries to use. They can be multiple for redundancy, and slow are fallback management points, and they would be management points you want the devices to fall back to if their allowed management point or points are unavailable. There's quite a lot of flexibility there for you to be able to route devices around so that they're never out of touch of a management point. And in the worst case scenario, if all of the management points listed here are unavailable, the client will be allowed to select any management point of its choice. The fallback is to allow the config manager to go back to its default behavior, rather than stopping these clients from being able to speak to other management points that may be available. That's a worst case scenario. What I have here is 1, 2, 3, 4 management points and a single SUP, 2 fallback management points, number 1 and number 2, and I have 2 available management points, 8 and 9. So if I'm within those boundaries defined here, then I will start using these 2 management points. I'll make a selection, a random selection, and then I'll pin to it until it becomes unhealthy. So I pretty much have an affinity that will persist for indefinitely until you tell it not to switch to another one, or if that management point suffers an outage. So after configuring this single boundary group with the bits and bobs site references below, you're now ready to continue with the LocationAware wizard. I am going to select cancel here. These are already pre-configured for me. I will select the LocationAware wizard. We're at the update package. What this is now going to do is, as you can see in your package source location, you have your package source for LocationAware and the config manager agent already copied in there. The LocationAware agent already copied in there. The next step is to get the XML file, which is what that agent will use to understand its MP affinities. So we'll select update package, select next. As it says here, you need a LocationAware package. Select next. You can see that this is our one. There's only one. It's looking for collection packages that are prefixed as such. That is a that's enforced when you create the package. that rule for the name. Select next. What it's simply going to do now is it selects you if you're absolutely sure you want to update this content. It's now created an XML file. You see it's about 4K. If we open that up, you can see there's XML elements in here, XML definition for boundaries, boundary groups, and management points, software update points, as well as a very special piece of functionality up the top here, which I'll go into another time. So for now, that's all ready to rock and roll. The distribution points have been updated. This is the activity. This is an activity that takes place when you update the package here. Selecting finish closes the wizard. You're pretty much now good to go for the deployment. So let's select software library, and we can complete the config manager console activities and shift over to the client to see the result. You can see that I have the package here. I'm just going to move it to a pre-created folder. You can create that folder yourself after, and put all your location-aware specific packages in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select a single program. It's default to HTTP, just to show off that functionality. As the name implies, it's going to force the client to default to HTTP. Select the collection that you want to choose. Now you see that I have these other operational collections from LocationAware created by the wizard previously. The default to HTTP is the same as the program, so I'm lining those two up. There aren't any members in there, that's okay for now. Select next. You see it's on the distribution point. Select required, immediate scheduling, select new, select schedule, custom interval, and this is the frequency that you want the agent to run out. It's a minimal footprint in terms of memory, CPU. If it was run every half an hour, it wouldn't be a big impact. No one really notice it, but every hour is roughly how long you need it to be at to recover from a management point failure pretty quickly, so that you don't have any deployment slippages as a result of MP failure. Select OK. Select OK. Always rerun the program. Select next. For us in testing, we're going to expose it, otherwise it would be silent. We want it to override maintenance windows. Select next. For all options, whether or not the machines are accidentally not in boundaries for content download, we want them to be able to download. So select download content from DP and run locally for both of those options. Deployment options. Select next, and we're done. That's deployed to the client that we add into the collections below here. What we're going to do is pick up a single device, and I'm going to add that into the authorization collection, a collection that the others are limited off of. This stops machines from accidentally receiving location-aware agent if you didn't want them to, so you have complete control of the deployment. We're going to add that again to an actual deployment collection, default to HTTP. Now that device will pick up that advertisement. Let's force the client to do so now, and then look at the location-aware log. Bringing up the config manager agent applet, select action, machine policy retrieval. Give it just a few moments. If we open up Software Center, we should see the installation taking place. There we go. And if we have a little look at the location-aware agent log file, that's in the config manager agents log folder, you see that it's already run for us. And if we go up to the top here, you see that it's been date stamped for the date and time. It's looked in the packages cached contents for the XML file, and it's found it. It's enabled the task scheduler functionality, which basically means if you shut down the machine, restart it, reboot it, come out of hibernation, unlock the console, then it will invoke location-aware agent. And that's just to make sure that if you do move the machine between subnets, that you're not being blocked from using the management point that you've configured the client to use. Once it's got off and going, it does a little bit of an identity check, and then it pulls out the available and fallback management points from the boundary groups that you're a member of via the boundary associations, and it comes up with a long list of what needs to be done. And as you can see from here, we've got 2 available and 2 fallback, which reflects the configuration of the boundary group site system references. We've got a few bits and pieces here about what type of activity is taking place, HTTP, HTTPS, and most importantly, it's checking the management point that it's currently using, which is number 8. It sees that that's okay and that it's an available MP, so it should not switch off of it. Selected MP, as you can see, is 8, and no rotation took place. If the client was using a different management point, we would see the CCMXX service being restarted after the allowed MPs key has been created, so that we initiate the management point affinity. That's pretty much all that you need to see to get this from end to end. So you have seen me download, install, configure and deploy, and monitor the resulting deployment. I hope that you have a lot of fun with this tool. It's absolute blast creating it, and if you've got any feedback for me, or it's just not working in various places, give me a ping on rob@smsmarshall.com, and I'm more than happy to have a chat with you and play around, maybe fixing things. And like I say, have a lot of fun playing with it. Thank you. Bye.